Hey, all you beautiful bees. So, this week we are going to talk about the total solar eclipse that happened in the United States last week on Monday. And I wanted to just kind of reflect. I did a live stream of that, and the picture wasn't really clear, but you kind of got the idea. And so, if you were in an area that you couldn't see the eclipse, at least you got some sort of the magic of that happening. But I really just wanted to take a moment and talk about the solar eclipse, my experience, and how that felt, and just talk about solar eclipses in general, and kind of just cover all of that, because that's one of the things that I like to do on this channel, is talk about different things that happen in nature, in conservation, and all those other things. Also, I wanted to say, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, because we can't grow this high without you. Okay, so now we're going to get into the meat of the subject, a solar eclipse. What is a solar eclipse? See, that occurs, and you probably already know this, but I'm going to cover it anyway. It occurs when the moon comes between the Earth and the sun, and then it actually obscures the sun in some way. There's a couple different ways that it can do that. It can do that by doing what's a umbra, when it is fully covering the sun, and then a penumbra when it is only partially covering the sun. There's also this one where, and I can't remember the name of it right now, I'll put it on the screen, but there's another thing where it will cover the sun, but it doesn't cover it completely. It's actually a point where the moon is further away from the Earth than it was in this case, and so it covers the sun, but it doesn't cover it completely, so you can't actually look at it like we could with this total solar eclipse, where it covers it up and you can only see the outer edges of the sun. And how often do solar eclipses happen? Well, it's about every 18 months, and that happens anywhere in the world. And that, when I say a solar eclipse happens, what I mean is that in some way the moon obscures the sun. That doesn't mean a total solar eclipse like the one we had last Monday, but some sort of eclipse where the moon gets in front of the sun. We also did have one back in November that happened that was a partial, um, and then a few months later there was the total solar eclipse, and I believe that there's another one sometime coming later this year. But the frequency of those is you can time at least one solar eclipse within an 18-month period. How do you watch a solar eclipse? See, there's a couple different ways that you can watch solar eclipse. We had a solar eclipse back in the 80s, 90s when I was in grade school. And that way, what we did is we had two pieces of paper, and I had a piece of paper that had a pinhole in it, and then a piece of paper down here. And we watched it at school, and we were able to see as the moon covered the sun. That one was not a total solar eclipse, so it didn't completely cover the sun to the point where we were able to look at the sun after it was covered, but we still got to experience an eclipse back then. And then in 2017, we had one that was a almost partial solar, or almost total solar eclipse. It was one that we couldn't necessarily look at the sun again, but we were able to experience that one. And so that one, I actually used the same thing that I did this last time, and I used these solar glasses. And so these obscure light to the point where you can actually look at the sun. And so that's just really, really awesome. So you can look right at the sun and see what's happening. Now, I've seen some places where what they did is they cut out holes in a plate, so that for kids it would cover it up so that they wouldn't be able to look beyond the glasses. That was really cool. But yeah, these glasses were highly recommended, and I will actually put a link for these if you have a solar eclipse coming up in the future, and you can find that in the description. The other option is to have a solar viewer box. So with that, what you do is you can take a box. What I've seen is people use pop boxes where you cut one side into a square, and then on one of the short ends you put some aluminum foil and put a pinhole in, and then you point it at the sun, and then you can look in this hole here that you've cut in, but then you're able to see the eclipse happening through that. Now, I've also seen people take some things like colanders and things like that and shine it, and so during a solar eclipse you can actually see that crescent start to happen, going both ways, with a colander, and it's really cool. And I have a friend that actually shared a picture of that, and so I will go ahead and post that here. So, what was it like to watch a total solar eclipse? The word amazing doesn't even describe it. You know, knowing that this was going to happen, we planned months ahead to go to my parents' house where they have a really nice open backyard, and to be able to just hang out and watch it with my parents, and my sister and nephew came over, and we all just watched it together. And it was just really amazing because that moment when the sun, the moon completely covers up the sun, you look around and you see what looks like a sunset or sunrise completely 360 degrees around you because of the radiant light that's happening around you. And so I can't even describe that. And then that when you're looking, when you're able to just sit and look there at the sun and see this ring, and you can actually see solar flares coming off of the sun, and it's just amazing. It is an experience that I will cherish for the rest of my life, and I really hope that if you have not had the chance to experience a total eclipse, that you will get to see one soon. But any type of eclipse is amazing, and so if you have one that happens in your area, be sure to check it out. Again, we want to thank you so much for buzzing by. We appreciate you. We are so glad that you are part of this community. We hope that you like, share, subscribe, and without further ado, here is the solar eclipse as I experienced it, and many of those around me experienced it. Thanks for watching, and have a great week.